not so big already. But now I want to look at taking data and mapping a sinusoidal function to the data. All right. So the two sinusoidal functions that we looked at are sine and cosine. All other trig functions are not sinusoidal. And when we say sinusoidal, we mean oscillating. So the first thing we do is we look at the data and we find the largest y value, the smallest y value, and how long does it take before things start repeating. So let's do that. Let's look at a problem and find the min, the max, and the period. So here we go. The water level relative to the top of a boat dock varies with the tides. One day, low tide occurred at midnight and the water level was 7 feet below the dock. The first high tide of the day occurred at 6 a.m. The water level was 3 feet below the dock. The next low tide occurred at noon and the water was back to 7 feet below the dock. This is sinusoidal, it's repeating. And they have to tell us, do they want us to fit this to a cosine or to a sine function? They want us to do W of t, where t is time and W of t is the height of the water. So let's just go through this and find the max, the min, and the period. What is the highest level, highest value?
Is it 7?
So 7 feet below and 3 feet below.
3 feet is the maximum.
Yeah, so the max is going to be 3 feet below. And what's another way to write 3 feet below?
-3.
-3.
Good. And then the min is going to be
-7.
good. Excellent. So if you think of it doing it this way, the information will be grounded for you. What is the period that we're looking at in this scenario?
Period is the time, yes.
The period is the time it takes to start repeating.
First time it occurs at 6. It occurs at noon. So 6 to 12? It's around there.
Yeah, we start at midnight. We're at -7. When is it again at -7?
Next low percent mu.
Okay, good. So what does that make the period?
Six.
Almost. If we write noon as 12, and let's write midnight as 0. Subtracting, we get 12 hours.
So we do it as military time?
It's easier for me to do it that way, yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise you're going to have to start thinking extra.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we've got something to work with. To find the amplitude, well, amplitude is how far away from the median line we go, how far up and how far down. So we're going to take 1/2 of the absolute value of the max minus the min. And that will give us A. So the absolute value of A is 1/2 of the absolute value of -3 plus -7. Oh, minus. And what is -3 minus -7?
-10.
Almost.
9.
Negative,
Oh,
negative.
wait,
minus-
negative.
Oh, okay.
Good. So -3 plus 7.
4.
Good. Absolute value of 4 is still 4, so I didn't write absolute value. And 1/2 of 4 is
2.
Now, this is really important. When you are taking data and you're making that data be described by a sinusoidal function, you get to decide, do you want A to be positive or negative? It's so much easier in the whole world, forever and ever, if A is positive. So we're just going to let A be positive. And that means that A is 2. The world would not end if we had A was negative. But this is still a simpler world. The next thing we're going to do is find the midline. So we want to find the midpoint of the range. So the midpoint of the y's, which is going to be 1/2 the sum of the max and min. Okay, so D is 1/2. We said the max was -3 and the min was -7. And now we do get -10. And -10 is
-5.
good. Does it make sense that the midline would be -5? We look at the information. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, everything is negative. We've got -7 and -3 is the biggest. So -5 is in the middle. That's really groovy. And now we're going to use P equals 2 pi over B to find B because we already found the period itself. We know the period is 12 hours. So we have 12 equals 2 pi over B. And I'm going to do the same thing with B that we did with A. I'm going to say, let B be positive. Now what can I do with this formula? What do we no longer need?
We're just trying to solve for B, is that correct?
Right, we're trying to find B. And if I force B to be a positive number, is there anything in this formula that I can simplify without doing anything else? Just knowing that B is positive.
Getting rid of the ultimate value.
Yes, very good. Because the absolute value of a positive number is itself. So yay. It's just loads easier to work with something without the absolute values. And now how do we solve for B?
Move the 2 pi over to the other side, letting B alone.
We can move the 2 pi to the other side, but it's going to come back. Well, the pi is going to come back. We can
Why
move
not?
the 2 to the other side.
Oh,
Why by B?
But where do we want B? If we're solving for B, do we want it to stay in a denominator?
No.
no. You gotta move it to the numerator.
Okay, how?
You could try this. Take the reciprocal.
So B,
Hmm,
1 over B, the reciprocal of 1 over B is B. Is this what you were thinking?
B12. I think, yeah, we could. Can we try that out?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Now,
definitely try
on
that
the
out.
right-hand side, yeah, what happens on the right-hand side?
Right hand side, B's cancel out.
Beautiful.
We
We're
got
left with,
with 2 pi.
and on the left,
12B.
and to find B,
Divide by 12. And we can
and we
simplify
get
that out.
I over 6.
Perfect 6, yeah.
marvelous.
Bingo.
So do you see that we're plowing through this? We've got A, we've got D, and now we've got B. B is pi over 6. The phase shift is phi. Phi is C over B. So now we need to look at the situation again. We started out at -7. At 6, we got up to -3. And at 12, we were back at -7. So since we're trying to force this to be a cosine, what value do we normally think of cosine starting at?
1.
Very good. So we want to start at, this is t, at t equals 6. What is our shift, phase shift? How far to the right did we have to move?
6.
Yeah, very good. So we know that the phase shift is 6. We know also that it is C over B. And we know that B is pi over 6. And dividing by pi over 6, that's the same as multiplying by pi over 6 is the same as multiplying by
6 pi.
6 pi. Yeah, that would
6 over pi. Very good. Now it's a little bit easier, at least for me, because they're all multiplication signs. What do we need to do to find C?
as again, try to do the reciprocal, see if that works.
Okay, good. Beautiful. On the right side, what happens?
The 6 over pi and the pi over 6 cancel out. Just leave you C.
Yay. And on the left side?
6 cancel out, just leaves you pi.
And now do we have everything?
Yes.
Excellent. So the part that took the most thought, I think anyway, is figuring out what are we trying to force these dots to be mirrored by, and what kind of shift do I have to do to make it work? So we've got W of t is 2 times the cosine of pi over 6 times t minus pi minus 5.
We have about 14 minutes left. Just to let.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start another example. And we will finish it. Gosh, we're already having Wednesday. We'll finish it next week. Okay, the first thing, remember that we are going to take every scenario and we want to find the max, the min, and the period. So the first time you read it, those are the things you're looking for. The reason I say this is that it helps to have some kind of structure when you're looking at something brand new. Okay, so suppose Sir Ralph, Jeanette, Ben, and Mari are hanging out at the fair. While riding the Ferris wheel, they decide to use some cool trigonometry that they learned in pre-cal. They notice that the highest point they reach is 16 meters above the ground. This occurs at 11:05 p.m. The lowest point they reach is 1 meter above the ground. This occurs at 11:08 p.m. They decide to model this cyclic motion using h of t equals a cosine of bt minus c plus d, where h of t is the height at time t. To make things fun and more interesting, they agree to choose different initial times. So Ralph decides to make 11 p.m. his time zero. Jeanette decides to make the initial time midnight. Ben wants to make the initial time 11:05, and Mari wants to make the initial time 11:08. What equations will these students find? Who is correct? Because it sounds like these young people might get different answers. Can you see that I had too much time this week?
Yes.
Listen, whoever gets their answer correct gets extra credit, you know?
Okay.
There you go. Well, I thought about that. Actually, what we don't finish right now, if you, and it's in the notes, which are online, if you write it up, wherever we get to, if you write it up and turn it in, that'll be extra points, 10 points toward whatever you want. Okay, so max, min, and period.
Max is 16.
Good. That's meters.
Min is 1.
They don't tell us. We don't have 2 points that are the same height. But if it takes 3 seconds to go from all the way up to all the way down, how long should it take to go back up?
3 more
1.5
minutes.
seconds.
Yeah, 3 seconds. So what is the period?
3 seconds.
6 minutes.
Oh, minutes. Yes, thank you.
Oh,
So 6 minutes. Yes. I was having this thing fly. Okay. Now it's not so overwhelming. I know that the amplitude is 1/2 max minus min absolute value. So it's 1/2 16 minus 1. 16 minus 1 is
15.
and 15 over 2.
It was 15 over 2.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and write it as a decimal. Two goes into 14. Good. So 7.5, and let's see if we can figure out the units. This is the
The time it takes from up to down.
this is the amplitude. Is it a time?
Oh no. That's the height.
That's right. Very good. And D is 1/2 max plus min with no absolute value. So we have 1/2 16 plus 1, which is 17 over 2.
Oh, sorry, 8.
Excellent. So we've got the 2 easy ones done, and that's not just nothing. That's a big deal. Now we know that the period is 6 minutes. We also know that the period is 2 pi over b. And do you notice that this time I left the absolute values all the way off?
Yep.
Mhm.
Because if you're allowed, you might as well make those values positive. Okay, so we know that the period is 2 pi over b and that the period is 6 minutes. How can we use that information to find b?
Just plug 6 into P and the 2 pi over B. So it'd just be 6 equals 2 pi over B.
Okay, and now what?
Take B to find B.
Multiply by B.
Yeah.
Good. So we get 6b equals 2 pi.
Divide by 6. Should be
So
pi over
that b,
3.
good. None of these 3 values, A, D, or B, has anything to do with where we start. But guess which one does? B. B has everything to do with if you're shifting by B, if you're shifting to the right, shifting what with respect to what? And that's part of why you guys are doing this fun thing at the fair, because it's the frame, the frame of reference. A lot of times you'll do physics experiments, and you have to set the frame of reference yourself. And how do you do it? Where do you do it? Does it matter? It does matter, but as long as you do it correctly, you're good. It's not like you can do it wrong. So let's look at Jeanette. Jeanette starts at midnight. It's 11 something, and she's starting at 12. We'll just say 12. If we're shifting, I want t equals 0 to be midnight. Which way do I have to move from 0 to get to the points that we know? Left or right?
Right.
If I start at 0 and I go right, then I'll be in the morning.
Right.
Oh.
Left.
Oh.
So we've got to go back. And the first value we were given was the high point. And this is the cosine that we're trying to fit. So we want to start high. That means we're going all the way back to 1105. How far back do we have to go?
55 minutes.
Good. Very good. So that's all it takes. We've got t is equal to, and I'm going to go ahead and write it. We went back, so it's negative 55. And that's c over b. C is what we're still looking for. B, we said, was pi over 3. So I think we have time to finish this one. What can I do if I've got negative 55 equals c over pi over 3?
Let's see. Multiplied by the inverse of pi over 3.
Good.
Because we're looking for C right now.
Yes, that's right. So on the right, we've got c. On the left, we've got negative 55 pi over 3. It's not a beautiful number, but it's correct. So Jeanette's formula, this is H of Jeanette. It's going to be, let's see, we said that A was 7.5 cosine of, we said B was pi over 3. We said that C was negative 55 pi over 3, which means I'll have a positive 55 pi over 3. And then we're going to add 8.5. So for extra credit, I want you to write up the Ralphs, Ben's, and Mari's. And then I want you to just think about who's correct. Is somebody's better than another? Or more correct? It would be more correct if they're better. Okay, any questions?
Comment?
Pardon?
No. No further questions.
Nope.
Have a
And
good
I am
weekend.
grading your exams today. I started last night and then I fell asleep.
Okay.
But
Take
I am
care,
grading your
huh?
exams. Pardon?
Take care. Don't overstress. Otherwise, you'll be sick.
Okay. Bye.
All right. See you next week.
Promise
All right,
now.
see you.
Bye-bye.